Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Park Institute of Statistical Training and Research, I extend to you a very warm welcome in today's webinar. It's to be delivered by Professor Dr. Shahjahan Khan, and the title is A Blessed Statistical Journey for Learning, Teaching, Research, and Professional Leadership in Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment in time, Professor Dr. Shahjahan Khan is Vice Chancellor of the Asian University of Bangladesh. He is Emeritus Professor of the University of Southern Queensland in Australia. He is expatriate fellow of BAS. I think he will tell us more about this himself. He's founding chief editor of JAPS. He is past president of ISOSS and one of the most dynamic presidents that we have had. He has been past director of MCCA in Australia. Professor Shahjahan Khan is currently serving, as I said, at this university, the Asian University of Bangladesh, as Vice Chancellor. And he received his PhD in 1992 and MSc in Mathematical Statistics prior to his PhD from the Western University, Canada, and also MSc and BSc honors degrees from Jahangirnagar University in Bangladesh. He joined Dhaka University, Bangladesh in 1980 as a lecturer and was awarded Commonwealth Scholarship in 1984. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I would like to now request Professor Shahjahan Khan to address the audience.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. To the participants, Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. Very warm welcome. And I really want to thank Professor Saleha Habibullah and her team for organizing this series, not only just today, but also in the past and hopefully in the future. It's great work and really appreciate it. I want to pay my respect to all the oppressed people on the earth, and I want to dedicate my work for those who are suffering for human man-made causes. And we hope that humanity will survive with dignity and honor, and people will set them free and live in peace and harmony. Professor Saleha has given very generous introduction to me, my work. I probably some of them will repeat, but if I request Professor Zawad Mirja to share the slides, or want me to share the slides? Okay, so welcome back again. I want to say my salam, and I want to thank the ISTAR and ISOSS team for organizing all the events they have been organizing. Particular thanks to Professor Saleha Habibullah and her team. I know her for a long time. Many times we meet in Pakistan and abroad. So it is, as you have seen in the title, I have been working in different parts of the world. I was born in Bangladesh, which is here. When I was born, it was part of Pakistan, East Pakistan. So that's the West Pakistan there. I did my PhD from Canada, here. Then I moved to Australia, down under, as an academic. In 92, I received my PhD, and 93, I came back to Dhaka University in 92, April. And then I got migration to Australia. In September, I moved to Australia, and I got my job in the University of Southern Queensland in January next year. So 30 years I've been in Australia, and I also worked in Germany. I worked in Saudi Arabia. I worked in Bahrain and Oman, and also I been frequent visitor of University of Malaya in Malaysia. I think I'm kind of a lucky person to be able to work in many different countries and meet so many colleagues who still are in touch with me and remember me. Now, when I was a student in Jahangirnagar University, I had no idea that statistics is going to flourish as much it has flourished now. This is a slide that is from the first World Statistics Day. The statement from the then UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon was very clear that the day was to celebrate the achievements of statistics in many ways, particularly the critical role that it plays in evidence-based decision making. And also it is he acknowledged the fundamental importance of sustainable national statistical capacity and produce reliable and timely statistics and indicators. You probably know in 2012, most likely Barack Obama, president at that time, he also gave a statement as a president on the big data and how that was going to change their teaching, learning, security system, and employment as well. So the statistics that we see today was not the way that when we grew up as undergraduate students. It has come a lot much forward and much more wide and being used and appreciated everywhere. To my understanding of statistics, there are three things that makes statistics inevitable. Without them, we cannot do. And those three things are very prevalent in the human society. The number one is error, and you can name measurement error, human error, model error, and all sort of error, judgment error, and so on. So the error sometimes understood as something terribly wrong or bad. But in statistics, error is a very much of an ingredient that we use to make sense of the data, and it enables us to model the data and analyze and find the results. So error is not a problem in statistics. Second thing is uncertainty. Uncertainty in everything that we observe in the society. There's nothing certain, so everything is changing. So, but uncertainty is not a problem for statisticians. That we have the tools like probability that we can attach the degree of uncertainty to events, and then we can make use of that in analyzing real life phenomena. Because many phenomena are probabilistic, so we can use the uncertainty in the benefit of the humanity by using statistical tools. Similarly, variability, we live in the world of variable. Almost everything is varying and changing. So there's nothing certain in this world, in this life. These three things make statistics inevitable or indispensable in the world. And I think more and more people are trying to appreciate this. Now, when I started my journey, and the title is about the journey. So the first thing that I started with was my undergraduate degree in Jahangirnagar University in Bangladesh. This is one of the universities that the then Pakistan government established as a residential university, similar to the Islamabad University. So I was lucky to be admitted there. And then I did my undergraduate degree in 78 and master's degree in 79. Now, at that time, I thought statistics was kind of mathematics, but a little bit more language and text in addition to the mathematical formula. But now I can see that at that time, statistics was quite misunderstood relative to what it is today. I'll share with some of those things as I go through. I actually had the opportunity to be in Munich Center in Germany in 1983, where I actually met few German statisticians and also British statisticians with a wide range of applied statistical knowledge. And then that opened my eyes that the broadness of statistics that we use in the European countries at that time of point. That was my first time that I saw snow in Germany, walked through the snow in Germany, and I also had seen the snowflakes in Paris. So in 1983, very, very important milestone for my exposure to the Western style of learning and lifestyle. Okay, I went to University of Western Ontario in December 85. And I did my master degree and PhD. The University of Western Ontario is now called Western University. They have changed their name. One of the scholars from Bangladesh was the Vice Chancellor after I left Western, Amit Chakma. So he's now currently Vice Chancellor of Western Australia University in Australia. So my supervisor was Professor M. Safiul Haq, very dedicated statistician in Canada at that time. And one of the examiners of my PhD thesis was Professor AKMD SNS Saleh. When Professor Saleh read my thesis, he contacted me after I received the degree and we started collaboration. So the collaboration lasted very, very long in wide range of topics. Professor Saleh was based in Carleton University in Canada, and I visited him. He visited me in Australia several times. My experience about the PhD degree that I received, I want to share with my younger colleagues in particular. PhD is a very rigorous degree. It's a very rigorous training. In Canada, we have something called the comprehensive exam, like the United States. So after a year or so, your registration into PhD program, you sit for a formal examination. And this is very hard examination. Most of the people fail that exam. I asked at the time I was sitting for my comprehensive examination, Professor Ian McNeil. McNeil was the chairman at the time. I said, "Sir, why you make the comprehensive exam so difficult?" McNeil told me that, look, this is the time in your life when you learn statistics the most. Before and after, you probably know less statistics. So we want to make sure that you understand the fundamentals of statistics through the comprehensive exam. Majority of the people will fail in the comprehensive exam. So that was the first way of screening out who will go for PhD degree and who will not go for PhD degree. In Australia, we have a different system. In Australia, we call them research proposal confirmation presentation. That means that after 1 year or so, registering in the program, the candidate will prepare a research proposal. Proposal will not only contain the topic of the research, but also contain the methodology that we use to solve the problems, the research question, of course, the literature review, the resources required, the potential outcome of the research, all these things should be there. And it's kind of public presentation. So that's the first screening that the candidate will have before starting the PhD program. So in Bangladesh and other countries, maybe India and Pakistan, those who are those institutions running PhD programs, that we should be careful that we need to maintain the quality by following a kind of process of screening the people who have the potential to complete the degree and who don't. So at the end, after spending 3-4 years, people don't end up not getting any degree. So that's my experience. Myself and Professor Anwarul Haq Jordar, who is now a Vice Chancellor in another university in Bangladesh, we used to work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in our office at Western University when we were PhD students. So it is really a challenging degree that we thought that we have learned. We solve all the problems from Hogg and Craig's book. Hogg and Craig's book on mathematical statistics was that time used as a textbook. And to learn the mathematical statistical inference and so on, that was like a Bible at that time. So we solved all the problems on that. The other screening time of PhD candidates is the defense time. I had defense of my thesis. Professor John Jones, a professor of physics, he was the chair, and there were external examiners and department examiners. My presentation was a little over an hour, and there was a question and answer. So I had answered a few questions that they had, and the professor John Jones was so happy. He said that this should be on record. Uh, One of the corrections that I had in my thesis, I remember this. I write the number degrees of freedom. So correction was the number of degrees of freedom. So those who still want to learn, it's the number of degrees of freedom, not just degrees of freedom. So that was one of the small correction that I had in my PhD thesis. Okay, so this is my supervisor. May God bless him with the uh, highest place in paradise. He guided me through difficult time of research. He was a graduate from Dhaka University, taught in Dhaka University, and then I think he also worked in Pakistan Bureau of Statistics at that time, Central Statistical Bureau Office, and then he went to Canada as a professor there when I did my PhD. Uh, my first job after getting my undergraduate degree was National Foundation for Human Resource Development. Um, Interestingly, I was interviewed by Professor Muhammad Yunus, who is now the current chief advisor of the Indian government in Bangladesh. And Professor Yunus has a lot more respect all over the world for his work on the Grameen Bank and also the 3-0. So he was one of the panel members who interviewed me. The chairman of that board was the foreign minister at that time, Professor Samsul Haq. Then I got a job in Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. I was there 1 month and 24 days because I was always looking for an academic job. I just want to share one experience with my colleagues. I got selection for a lecturer position in Rajshahi University. At that time, it was the second largest university in Bangladesh after Dhaka University. But I was not appointed by the syndicate, so I didn't get the job. After that, I got a job in Dhaka University, which I consider myself to be lucky because I didn't get job in Jahangirnagar University. I did get selection in Rajshahi, but didn't get the job. But later on, I got a job in Dhaka University, which is the #1 university in Bangladesh. So when you don't get something, don't get frustrated. Maybe something better is waiting for you, as I have experienced myself. Then I went to Western Ontario. During the time I did my PhD, I also was a part-time teacher there. That helped me to maintain my family, helped me to get some extra money. They're always helpful. When I came back to Dhaka University and I got a migration to Australia, I had to return the salary that I received during my study leave of 4 years from Dhaka University. That was 1,63,000 Dhaka at that time. And I went to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Munir Zaman Mia. And I said, sir, I believe in hereafter. So I refund every cent that I got from university. So I returned the money and went there. And many people still remember that, my old colleagues. And then I got job in University of Southern Queensland, Australia. By the way, Southern Queensland University was the #1 leading university in distance education at that time. Distance education was mainly through the postal correspondence at that time. Later on, with the availability of the educational technology, we started using telephone, fax, and then we use multimedia, and then we use CD-ROM, and then we use internet and so on. So these are different stages of distance education. Now what we have, online education, is a kind of updated version of that distance education. So I had a student who were older than me when I was in the University of Southern Queensland in early part of my career. When I got the job, I was in Sydney actually, but Toowoomba is in Queensland, about 1,000 kilometers apart. So I got a job, and I thought that I should bit more higher salary that I was offered by the university. So I told my wife that, given my experience publications, I should get higher salary. My wife told me, people are not getting job. You got a job and you're asking for more money, they won't cancel your appointment. I said, hang on, let me try. So I called the dean and explained to him, and then the dean gave me one step up salary, initial salary. So when you have an opportunity to negotiate, because when you get some kind of increment in the early stage of your career, it accumulates and help at the end, after the end. And I remember at one stage, because of my performance, I was given what they call the accelerated salary progression. That means instead of getting one increment, I was given two increments. So that's University of Southern. I'm very grateful to that university. That university actually provided me the platform um, that actually gave me the opportunity to explore my career, use my talent, and contribute to the society and the community that I was able to do. Without the University of Southern Queensland, I won't be in Toowoomba, I won't be in Australia, and probably I won't be able to do what I have done. You'll see some of the things as I go through. I worked in King Fahd University of Petroleum Minerals. By the way, Professor Munir Ahmed also worked there. I went after him. And I also worked in University of Bahrain and Sundar Qaboos University in Oman. As I said, I've been very frequent visitor to University of Malaya, which is probably the number one university in terms of the global ranking in the OIC countries. This is on the top left, my photo that is from Dhaka University. That when I was sorry, I was uh, a lecturer. This one that was in a function. And on the right side one, this is when I was in Germany. We had a dinner at that time it was EEC, European Economic Community. Um, uh, so I met the big bosses of the EEC at the time in Brussels, and this is one of the meetings that I had with them. This photo is from my office in University of Southern Queensland, and on the left is my colleagues at University of Southern Queensland. Dr. Zohir was my student at that time, PhD student. He is now a senior lecturer in the University of Southern Queensland, and I have other colleagues as well, as you can see. Now, when I was a student in Jahangirnagar University, for practical, we used to use this calculator. It is like a sewing machine at the time. So we used to use this handle to do the calculations. That was very old-fashioned. And then it comes calculators, but around that time, we had the mainframe IBM computer. So that was, you'll be surprised, the memory of that computer was 64 kilobytes. 64 kilobytes. So compare that what we have now. That time, that was the sophisticated computing machine in the world. So then we have changed that all together. Now we have then we have PC, we have now laptop, and then cloud and all sorts of things. So what has happened with the change in the computing? Statistics has now got much more acceptance and much more applicability in all sort of areas. So without the computing, we wouldn't be able to be beneficial to the community at large as it is now. At the time that I was a student, data was scarce. There's not many data, very limited data. So people were crying for data, but now we have oversupply of data. So situation has changed. A statistician at that time was working by themselves using paper and pencil and so on. But now they are invited by people of all other disciplines for their research because they want to deal with the data, do the analysis and so on. Not only that, its applicability has increased and widespread, but also it has impacted, the computing has impacted on the paradigm of science. In the olden days, the theory and experiment, two paradigm of science. With the advance in computer simulation and so on, there will be another third paradigm. And with now the introduction of the big data and data analysis and so on, the people are using another paradigm is that there are 4 paradigms of science now instead of 2. This is all due to computational power and the availability of the data. Okay, in my PhD thesis, I had 7 papers published. That was in complex mathematical statistics on predictive inference. I had to use uh, uh, vector integration as well as vector calculus as well as matrix calculus. So some of you may not be familiar with that. Instead of we integrate with respect to a variable x, we had to integrate with respect to a vector of x's or a matrix of x's. So that was quite interesting and diverse. I had to learn about the Jacobian of transformation in terms of matrix, and so on and so forth. So, and there's also some kind of group theory involved. My supervisor helped me with that very well. Some of my work was in based on the structural inference introduced by Don Fraser. Don Fraser is one of the prominent statisticians in Canada. He was at the University of Toronto. He was supervisor of my supervisor, Sophie Hawk. I met him in many occasions. Even at the age of 81, 90, he would go to the conference and stand behind the people sitting with a sort of small bag on his shoulder. So he won't sit down. So that much active Don Fraser was, even his late life. Later on, he was married to the lady from Waterloo. Can't remember the name now. She's also a very prominent surgeon in Canada. Okay, as I said, Professor S.M.S. Saleh was an external examiner of my thesis. And when he saw my work in mathematical statistics, he became interested to collaborate. Actually, he gave me the opportunity to collaborate. So he came to Australia, visited me for 2 weeks with his wife. So my family became friend of his family and so on and so forth. And we started working on the stint type estimation, shrinkage estimation. And that's how we started the improved estimation methods. I worked in multivariate T and elliptic distributions. That was also with Saleh and Professor Safiul Haq. I later on I also did inference on non-sample, inference with non-sample prior information, is using the Pinometers technique that Professor Saleh also worked with. Look, up to this, all my work was in mathematical statistics, statistical theory, and linear models, multivariate models, and so on and so forth. Now, one thing my understanding, if you published in hardcore theory and method work, your citation is not going to be as large because not many people find benefit out of it. So in 2007, a doctor, Pakistani origin doctor, Professor Muhammad Ashraf Memon, he migrated to Queensland. At that time, Queensland and Australia had very shortage of doctors. So the Queensland Premier Peter Pitti at this time, he himself went to England and recruited doctors. So Professor Memon, Dr. Memon was one of them. And he contacted me through email, wanted to see me. One day he came to me with 3 of his other colleagues, those are all doctors, and told me that I want to do meta-analysis and I need your help. I said, I don't know anything about meta-analysis. I'm a statistician. So he said, look, because you know statistics, it's easy for you to do meta-analysis. So please help me. Okay. So I said, okay, I'll try. At that time, Rosita Muhammad Yunus was my PhD student from Malaysia, University of Malaya. By the way, Rosita is now associate professor in University of Malaya. And as a reporter, I think 2020, I had the highest number of publications with Malaysian academics among all Australian academics because of Rosita and my work. So Rosita is still working in our team. And the meta-analysis that I learned through Professor Memon, still working. believe it or not, Professor Memon is now my PhD student. His age index is more than 35, maybe 40. Um, and I convinced him that since you do so much work, why don't you finish your PhD degree? So he is going to finish his PhD thesis very soon. His thesis is in the final stage, um, just editing going on. So that's another. I'm very grateful to Professor Memon um, for his approach coming to me. And later on, I wrote a book on meta-analysis. My intention of writing a book was to make it so simple that anybody read it from a non-statistics background can understand it. I think the reader will just, this book now has over 40,000 downloads. And the publisher has asked me to come up with a second edition. It's been quite popular, so they want to write me a second edition, which I'm working on. Maybe next year we'll get the second edition of that book. Now, with the meta-analysis, I want to tell you that it is actually part of systematic review. And systematic review is a very important technique. It is scientifically because, like other scientific methods, systematic review, if it is done independently by a separate group of people, they must come with the same conclusion, like control experiment. So the systematic review has been very much a powerful way, what is called the tool of evidence-based decision making, not only in health and medical science, but also in other fields now being used. So, as Professor Saleh has mentioned, that I supervised quite a few of PhD students. Now, when I supervise PhD students, maybe other supervisors also do that. In the beginning, I ask them to reproduce the results of a published paper, which I consider to be important. So the student can learn the method and techniques, the way that those results are obtained by the authors in the published paper. So that's kind of giving them an opportunity to learn how to reproduce the published work, so that they can do their own later on. I also give them schedule that they should follow, weekly meetings, keep the minutes, and then repeat the review the minutes in the next meeting, and so on and so forth. If you do not keep them active and mentoring them regularly, they might lose the track, and that may be a problem. I just shared a couple of experiences with you about the PhD supervision. One day, the Dean of Research school came to me, and I said, Shahjahan, we have a student having trouble with the supervisor. Can you help me? I said, let me talk to the student, and then the student joined us. And I came to know that there was some issue with the supervisor. Of course, we are human beings. Sometimes issues can be among supervisor and the PhD student. So I talked to some of the PhD students that were familiar to that student as well. And I found out that there was some behavioral issue with the student. So I told the student, I can help you, but you have to listen to me, and only then I can help you. So she received a University of Southern Queensland scholarship. So university has a lot of financial stake. If she could not finish the degree, university will lose money. So at the end, I was able to. She was working on a botanical problem that has data using analysis using statistical methods. So gradually she graduated, which is great. We save her career, and we save the university's prestige as well. So sometimes you might come up with a strange situation, and it will be great if you can help the student and also the university. Research training is very important because I didn't realize until I become part of the research management team in Southern Queensland University. A student going for a PhD degree in Australia, they must have a research degree before, either honors first class or high second class, or master's with research thesis before they can start enrolling PhD program. Research training program I introduced as part of that team in Southern Queensland University. that the quantitative method, knowledge that are required, that is essential for everybody doing PhD. They have to handle the data. And also things like learning the referencing style, um, um, using LaTeX, BibTeX, or using Word, MS Word, EndNotes, and so on and so forth. And also how to search the literature and so on and so forth. So research training is an important component. Now I see some people, they complete their PhD, but they don't have good number of high quality publications. That's also not acceptable. Um, Once you finish the PhD degree, you should be a trained researcher to do research by yourself without having help from others, independent researchers. But also you'll be able to collaborate with others. So the research training is a very important component of PhD, not just completing the thesis, but also learn how to conduct independent research, including writing, not quite extensively, but at least some idea about writing grant application and so on. And then I mentioned about all those points bit here. Now, some of the things I think we should appreciate that I was benefited, maybe other people also benefit from scholars like Al-Kindi, who introduced the idea of maximum likelihood. What he did, he found the distribution of Arabic alphabets. So he wanted to find out which letter in the Arabic alphabet is most frequently used. So like mode. So that's maximum likelihood, the concept that he gave. In statistical inference, it's one of the leading principle of inference is maximum likelihood principle. So that is one of the things that we are grateful to Al-Kindi. Not many people know about the contribution that Al-Kindi made on this area. The second one in the middle, that Avicenna, in the West, he is known as Ibn Sina, Avicenna, but Muslims know them as Ibn Sina, the legendary scientist who introduced the medical textbook that was used more than 500 years in the European medical colleges. He introduced the clinical trial, interestingly. And that's what, when we do meta-analysis, we use the RCT, with the randomized control trial, which is a sort of modified or improved version of clinical trial. And then the last one on the right, Al-Kharazmi, he was honored by the then Soviet government in 1983 by publishing a memorial ticket, postal ticket, as you can see here, in his honor. And he's the one who introduced the idea of algorithm. And no algorithm, no computer, no Google search or anything else. So these are the people who lay the foundation of some of the research that I, as a statistics person or biostatistics person or epidemiologist or person who is interested in evidence-based decision making and meta-analysis, benefit from. By the way, I was in Germany as a 1983, I told you before. I was really very surprised to see the 10 mark note in Germany, the currency, had a photo of Carl Gauss. Carl Gauss was a scientist. But we, in this subcontinent, we are used to have photos of politicians only in the banknotes. When I saw Germany had a scientist in their banknote, I said, hang on, this is how the people really honor the scientists. And I think one day we should learn how to honor the scientists. I sometimes say in my presentations, when the COVID-19 was killing hundreds of thousands of people, people are desperate for vaccine. And the scientists were desperate to come up with something. So much so that they cut down the randomized control trial time to make it short and quicker to get the vaccine available to the population. Interestingly, the scientists who discovered the vaccine, how much money they make, how much we pay the government and the society, these people. They saved millions of lives, right? Compared to the people like Messi, football player, soccer player, or a film star, how much money they are making. So people are saving their life, making their life easy. They're making a small amount of money, and those who are giving some entertainment, they get making much more money. So the society has to, I think, rethink about uh, how to respect the scientists who are making real difference in life, not just entertaining people for fun. So I think that will help the scientific community and the society at large. Look, as Professor Saleh mentioned, I had an opportunity to be keynote speaker in many conferences in different parts of the world and research workshop that I presented on various topics, and invited speaker, contributed speaker, and seminar presenters. Uh, by the way, as you have known, uh, I had a kind of um, scientific work side by side. I had community work. So I also made a lot of presentation in the communities in various capacities. I'll go through them. So these are the people who are my research colleagues in Australia. On the left, Dr. Professor Memon, I mentioned him before. He's the one who introduced me with meta-analysis. Uh, is very talented person, a first-class surgeon in Brisbane, and a top researcher. As I said, he's original from Pakistan, from Sindh, but he is now settled in Australia. Uh, on the upper right, this is one of my colleagues in Southern Queensland University. He's a microbiologist, but he used to come to me for helping his research with the statistics, particularly testing hypotheses and so on and so forth. By the way, I want to mention here about the people come for help to you as a statistician. If they, one of the problems that they come with the data and they want to do you something, and the data was not collected in a way what doesn't contain the information that's needed to answer the question that he wants you to answer. So that's one of the problems that I faced. Actually, if people really want statistics to be useful to them or a statistician to be beneficial to them, the statistician should be involved from the beginning, the planning stage of the project or the research, so that they know what study design to be introduced to answer the research questions, what method to be used to answer the research questions, and they collect the appropriate data to answer those questions, provide the analysis that are required to. So if you collect the data in the wrong way and go to a statistician, he or she has no way of fixing it. We cannot fix the broken data or wrong data. We can only use the correct data to make correct inference or correct conclusions. So, and then we have an engineer on the left, and this engineer was working on a flat stream, and his work involves some statistical distributions. I helped him as well. Now, the one on the left bottom, sorry, right bottom, Professor Doi is a very prominent epidemiologist. He was a doctor, but he doesn't practice anymore. He's in Qatar University. Before that, he was in Australian National University. Before that, he was in University of Queensland. That's where I met him, and we worked together. He had made some fundamental contribution in the meta-analysis area, and our joint work on inverse variance heterogeneity model is now a popular model as an alternative to random effects model introduced by Larsimonium and Layards in 1986. The random effects model has a lot of problems, assumptions that are ridiculous, never checked and never made. So inverse variance heterogeneity model is much realistic and should be more appropriate in using in analysis. That my book has that model covered very well. Okay, the conferences that I was involved in organizing as ISOSS president, the first one is Kuala Lumpur. Now, look, when I was in the University of Southern Queensland, I used to go to a lot of conferences. And one of the things I would do in the conference, beside my presentations and professional network, I would explore with the potential venue for ISOSS conferences. I would speak to the people who come from different countries that may be interested to host ISOSS conferences. And I talk to them. And that's how in 2007, before this conference in Kuala Lumpur, in Shahjahan, in the Concord Hotel, I visited a number of universities in Malaysia, including UPM, USM, um, and UKM, and so on. So, and I had a meeting with all the representatives of statistics departments in the Greater Kuala Lumpur area. That how we formed the committee and started organizing. I think that was one of the most successful conferences that we had in ISOSS during my time. I'm very thankful to Professor Datu bin Usman, Jamil bin Usman. You can see him here. He was the president at that time of Malaysian Statistical Society. They call it Institute of Malaysia Statistics, something like that. And also to Professor um, Ibrahim Muhammad, who is in the University of Malaya. Professor Datu Jamil Ibrahim was also a deputy rector of IIUM, the International Islamic University of Malaysia, before that. Some of the keynote speakers are here. Kerry Mergenson is QUT in Brisbane. Is a very prominent statistician, leading Bayesian statistician, and she was my she was the referee, one of the referees on my promotion to a full professor in Australia. She was one of the keynote speaker there in Kuala Lumpur. And you know Professor Hanif Mia there, and Molay Ghosh, he came from United States, and Ali Hadi is a very renowned statistician from um, uh, in the United States. He was in what's the university name? I just forgot the name, but it's Ithaca. Uh, what's the name of the university in Ithaca, New York? Um, Cornell University, Cornell University in Dhaka. He was head of the social studies at that time. But sorry, before that, then he then later on moved back to Egypt, his country of birth for Professor Ali. And on the right hand side was um, uh, he was the head of the Arab Institute of Statistical Training in Amman, Jordan. I'll say a little bit more about him a bit later. Anyway, so then the next conference that we organized, I organized a ISOSS conference was in Dhaka. The local committee was headed by Professor Abdul Hanan Chaudhary, who is now the Vice Chancellor of North South University, one of the top private universities in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. And this conference was organized in honor of Professor Saleh, S. Saleh. You can see his photo in here. And beside him is Professor Qazi Saleh Ahmed. He was my teacher in Jahangirnagar University, and later he was a vice chancellor of Jahangirnagar University as well, Professor Qazi Saleh Ahmed. He died about a little over a year ago, and I was present in his funeral prayer, Salatul Janaza. We had a few other dignitaries at that conference, including Professor Munir Ahmed, the founding father of ISOSS and Piester, and Professor Hanif Mia, who was a leading person in ISOSS and the current president as well. The next conference we had in Cairo, in the American University of Cairo. And I must thank Professor Ali Hadi for leading this conference. This is one of the most successful conferences we had. Prominent statisticians like Jim Barker, the leading Bayesian at the time, and many others came to that conference, as you can see from this photo. Here is Ali. I must thank our old friend Mahmoud Usman, who was at that time head of a think tank in the government, Egyptian government at that time. He was the chairman of the local committee, and Kerry was the one of the keynote speaker. He's from University of Queensland. She's from University of Queensland. And then we had at that time the Jeff Tuzel was the president of the ISI at that time, and you can see Jim Barker here standing, and Edward Wegman standing there, who was in Mason University at that time, very prominent statisticians in the USA. So, we had an excellent time and conference at that time. The next conference that Professor Saleh mentioned was the conference in honor of myself in Lahore. And that was a very successful conference. As you can see, some of the people, here is Saleh, Professor Saleh, sitting in that conference. And also, we have a few other colleagues. Ifat Khaza is sitting there. She died a few years ago. May God bless her. And she was a good friend of my wife as well. So this is the conference that we have in Qatar, in Doha. And in this conference, we had quite a few dignitaries, as you can see here from the photo. Um, we had uh, during the conference we had a Juma prayer, a Friday prayer. So some people are wondering how where we can pray Juma prayer. The university had a mosque, but it is not a place for Juma prayer, the Friday prayer. So Professor Munir Ahmed, myself, Ali, Hadi, and we were there. So let's pray together. And then who is going to lead the prayer? So they decided me to lead the prayer. So I used to lead the prayer in Canada, in Australia. So it was not an issue for me. And after the Ijma prayer, um, Professor Munir Ahmed said we should have ISOS president like you, who can lead the prayer as well. I'm very grateful to him. I pay my respect all the time. Okay. Then in 2013, I went to the Kinnar College centenary celebration. And once again, thanks to Professor Saleh Habibullah that her college invited me to be the keynote speaker and that centenary celebration. So that was a multidisciplinary research conference. Um, and during that, around that time, we had also silver jubilee celebrations of ISOS. So I was at the ISOS office at that time um, because of that conference as well. Now, the first gold medal that I received from ISISCO, you can see the photo here. On the
Dr. Shahjahan, Dr.
yes,
Shahjahan, can I interrupt here now?
sure, sure.
I just want you to know that it is on my laptop, it says 17 past 4. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we not only get all this wonderful information from you, but also we can have at least 15 minutes for people to, there are so many people in the audience who would like to give their input of their
Sure.
association with you. So
Yes,
I
up
just
to the minutes.
wanted
Yes.
you to know that it is 18 past 4 now.
Okay, so you want me to finish another 25 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no worries. I'll do that. Oh, by the way, I forgot here. In 1999, I proposed to Professor Munir Ahmad that ISOS should honor the statisticians from Islamic countries. So he liked the idea, and we introduced that. ISOS introduced that ISOS gold medal for the statisticians of Islamic countries. So the first recipient of Professor Isan Saleh, and I proposed his name, and everybody agreed. Professor Saleh I actually died a couple of years ago. His book, last book, actually came recently that he was working on. Even he was sick and old. That was my ISIS gold medal, but this is the one that Bangladesh Research Association gave me. That was the Minister of Finance at that time, University of Vice Chancellor of the Dhaka University, and the President of the Association in Bangladesh, Professor Nurul Islam, and Abdul Rashid was the secretary at that time of Bangladesh Statistical Association. So it's nice to be honored in your own country of birth. So this is Brother Hilal Bayati. He's a very interesting man. He was the DZ of an Institute for Training and Research and Statistics. He organized conferences in Amman and Libya, and I was in both conferences. And Libyan conference was in Sirte, the birthplace of Muammar Gaddafi. The two conferences were very successful conferences. And then I went to Bandung and met with brother, my good friend, Maman Dizahori, is a very prominent scientist and statistician from Indonesia, from Bandung, the Asia Pacific city. And then in my last visit that I was in the Islam, I saw his quarter. But I want to mention here, I don't know any other professional organization that have their own building owned by the organization, except for ISOS. The Professor Munir Ahmad worked hard to get a piece of land and then collected fund to build this building where the ISOS headquarters is located. And I was lucky to be a small part of that process. So very proud of that achievement that we have. When I organize these conferences and other events, I organize many events like workshops on meta-analysis and other topics. I used to write in the professional uh, publishing outlets like ISI Bulletin, RSS News, Amistad, ASA newsletter, whatever it is. So I think it is important when you do some activities, statistical activities. If it is known to others, it not only encourages the people involved in your events, but also encourages the other people to organize similar events. And also it gives you a professional connection. And one of the things that I did, I wrote an article here. Look at this on the silver jubilee of ISOS. This article I wrote, and it was published in the I think ISM bulletin. Yeah, okay, Institute of Mathematical Science bulletin. So I wrote one article on the World Statistics Day, focusing on the popular use of statistics that was published by Bangladesh Statistical Association. And I think it is important that we take statistics to the people, ordinary people. When I came to Dhaka, I attended a number of research dissemination seminars where the people conducted their project, they presented their output, results. And I found there were some places that we can improve. And I made some comments on them. And at some point, I was able to convince that they need professional statistics people working for them in the organization so that they get all these things fixed easily. So this is how we create jobs for our colleagues, our students. Professional statistical body should work for that. That not only that I get a job and my student get a job, but also the profession in general become recognized and expand the community and the employer expand their job scope for the statisticians. Very important. I mentioned that I invited some of the people in University of Southern Queensland for conferences, seminars, and World Statistics Day celebrations. I mentioned the Kerry Mangerson from University of Queensland, QUT, Queensland University of Technology. Louise Ryan was head of, I think, biostatistics in Harvard University, but she's an Australian. She came back to Australia, was working for CSIRO, Mathematics Statistics Division, and then moved to University of Sydney, University of Sydney, University of Technology Sydney, UTS. And she actually is the one who nominated me to be a fellow of ISM, Institute of Mathematical Stats, Statistical Mathematics, sorry. Yeah. And then Neil Gordon, I invited him for a celebration of World Statistics Day. Why I invited him? Because at that time that there was a Malaysian aircraft that was missing during the flight. So he was the one who was using Bayesian technique to track down the missing plane. So I wanted to get media attention by inviting him and speaking on that topic on the World Statistics Day. So you have to create your own market by utilizing the hot topics of the day by saying statistics. Okay. So create new programs as professional. Now I was able to help many people throughout my journal as well as through writing supporting letters, even for migration for in Australia, United States, and so on as a scientist. Okay. The conference that one of the conferences that I was involved in organizing is that one in Bogor. I'm sorry, this was supposed to be Professor Ali Hadi, but unfortunately Ali became very sick at that time. He was the president of ISOSS at the time. He couldn't do anything. I mean, he was very sick, really, really sick. So ISOSS headquarters requested me to take the responsibility. And I think we had a very good conference in there. You can see Professor Munir Ahmed and the president of CESNIC, sorry, DC of CESNIC, Shahbaz Alpe was there as well. Professor Izaz Ahmed from Canada. And I must thank my friend Asif Saifuddin, who was the organizer of the National Committee, and he's the key man at that conference that from Indonesia. Many of you probably remember him. And then we had another conference in Lahore. As you can see that I must remember my friend Dr. Abdul Rahman Khaza. He was very dedicated member of ISOSS. He would present at all the conferences. And beside that, he would entertain us, my wife and me, almost every time. He took us for dinner, took us for shopping, and so on. Very helpful and kind person and dedicated professional. I remember him, and may God bless him. Okay, I want to take a couple of minutes with this. The power of statistics was demonstrated with this 7.8 figure. Okay, in 2012, when Barack Obama was for re-election campaign, the main issue was the unemployment rate, and it was above 8% all through. And the opposition was campaigning against Obama because of the high unemployment rate. Just the quarter before the election in October, the unemployment rate went to 7.8%, so which was below 8%. That was a make or break figure for Barack Obama. The opposition claimed that this number was cooked, but the Statistics Office, U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, clearly said that if there was an iota of interference from President Obama or his campaign, all the officers of this office will resign en masse from their jobs. I think this is the kind of independence of the Statistics Office that is needed. The statistics to be trusted, to be objective. Very important. That power of statistics on number changed the make or break for Barack Obama. That made him be elected. The powerful people abuse statistics. This is history. If you have heard the word that what he's saying, there are three kinds of lies: lies, dumb lies, and statistics. That also came from a politician. I don't have time to go through that. I got a historical evidence of that. That should be actually politics. There are three kinds of lies: that lies, dumb lies, and politics. Is that where all the lies come from? Sorry to say that. This is another politician, right? You remember this man? He's back in the power again. In 2015, before he was elected, he claimed that 81% of the white people in America are killed by the black people. And this number was false. It was checked. It's found to be 15%, not 81%. So the people are abusing statistics to, and the powerful using or abusing to use their power and to establish their power more than anybody else. So we must be careful. The statistics should not be used or abused by anyone. This is a journal that I was founding editor. I'm still the founding editor, and this is Scopus Intake Journal. And I thank Professor Amir Al-Umari, who is now the executive editor. He is from Jordan. And also I thank Professor Zuhur Ahmed from Pakistan for helping this. The publisher, Dixie publisher stopped publishing the journal, and then we moved to ISOSS publications a few years ago. So this is one of the journal published by ISOSS now. I mentioned about my book. This has more than 40,000 download. There's a link there, and the second edition should be coming sometime next year. Now, I organize many workshops. This is one of the workshops that I organized in Brunei. And just want to mention here that in this workshop, they cover all my costs. Airfare, accommodation, meals, and everything else. And they gave me $10,000 as my honorarium. So the community that I work for had a mosque that was burned twice. So that was under reconstruction. So I donated all the money, the $10,000 money, to the mosque I was so lucky that I had the opportunity to do that. Okay, these are some of the workshops that I organized in different places. This one was in Japan, University of Tokyo, and the University of Malaya, and this was in Queensland. That Professor Bimal Sinha from Maryland University. He was the main presenter there, and also Professor Sohel Dahi was the presenter there as well. Now, you probably know I have been working for the community as well. Some of the things I have done here has brought the very key people in Australia. Professor Cherry Zubrinsky is considered to be the father of multiculturalism in Australia, and I had the opportunity to work with him and met him in several times. This is the University of Southern Queensland Multicultural Network. I was president for many years, that brought together people of all diverse background in the university and the community. I was awarded the Queensland Cultural Diversity Ambassador Award, and that is the frame that I was given for that. I organized a conference in Malaysia, University IIUM. Nafik president at that time, brother Dr. Ratib Junaid was there as well. So that was a very successful conference as well. The Queensland governor at that time, she came to our mosque, and you can see that all the dignitaries in Toowoomba were there as well. And then I had the opportunity to work with the Vice Chancellor at that time here, university, and my friend Dr. John McVeigh, who is now the Chancellor of the University of Southern Queensland. When I received the Queensland Police Award, that was the Police Commissioner, Queensland Police Commissioner. I was lucky to work with the 4 Vice Chancellor, Peter Sonnell, Bill Lovegrove, and Jim Thomas, and Geraldine. What is the last name? I forgot the last name. So, and I received the award from all of them. Thank you very much. This is Australian former Prime Minister that I had lunch with, Malcolm Turnbull. I consider it to be one of the most intellectually sharp and acceptance of diversity in Australia as a policy. Malcolm Turnbull. This is the Saudi ambassador that visited our mosque in Toowoomba. This is Tony Burke. He's the second most powerful minister in Australia now, Home Minister Tony Burke. I met him several times. He came to our mosque recently at Toowoomba Mosque. When I become the Professor Emeritus, this is the certificate I was given by the Chancellor in Dhaka. So I was lucky to receive that when the Chancellor came to Dhaka to deliver that. My research was quite influenced by Professor Safiul Haq and Ihsan Saleh. And later on, I mentioned about Sohel Dahi and Professor Memon. And my professional leadership actually was heavily influenced by Professor Munir Ahmed, because I found him to be a mentor, and he was a huge man, but I think his heart was bigger than his physical body. Such a gigantic person. As you have heard, that I'm now in Asian University of Bangladesh working as the Vice Chancellor. We have the 7th convocation celebrated this year, and on the 27th of February. It is our campus and different events that we had recently in our campus. Okay, my book, this is actually coming in September. It's a bit delayed because of some delay from the publishers. The reason I write this book, that I had interacted with many medical and health professionals. They lack knowledge in terms of design of experiments or study. They lack the data analysis skill. They lack the interpretation skill. And all these things I wanted to address from the beginning to the modeling stage. So this book will help professionals. This can be used a textbook in any medical or health program that both undergraduate and graduate. We used here SPSS, Stata, and R, 3 different packages. So the user can do anyone that they want. So I think it's going to be a useful book. Look forward for that. Before I finish, I want to mention that as an academic, as a researcher, what I leave my legacy has different aspects. One of them is the intellectual legacy through your publications, your books, your students that you produce. So the intellectual legacy is the most important one. And I'm a vice chancellor, but I think I still feel like I should be working in my research and creating new knowledge, because that's where my key strength. That's where I become an academic. When I was in Southern Queensland University, after 1 year, they have annual review, and I was sitting with the head of the department, and he asked me that, Shahjahan, what's your aim? What do you want to be as an academic? So I said that I want to be a distinguished academic. Then he remained quite a while, and he said that that's bigger than the vice chancellor. I said that actually what I want to be. So thanks God that I tried to do that. The other thing that I was born in a remote village in Bangladesh, and then I work in Bangladesh and then work in other countries. So what I mean is that if you have the ability and capability, you should expect that not only to serve yourself, your family, and your nation, but go beyond that. You can serve the humanity, and God may have given you the ability. You just have to explore and try your best. So serving the humanity would be the ultimate goal, not just serving yourself, your family, and your nation. And then your academic service legacy, that you teach, you create courses, you introduce programs, you supervise, and so on and so forth. So that will be the academic legacy. Like you want to give the best education to your students. How would be the pedagogy? How would be the teaching technology? How would be the presentation, and so on and so forth. The scholarship that you introduce in your teaching. And then professional leadership, that you become president or head or whatever of the professional society, association, and so on and so forth. Be editor of professional journals, publications, proceedings, and so on and so forth. Assessors of grant applications, promotions, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of things that we should do as academics, but at the end, we must remember that we will be survived through our intellectual creation and through our contribution as scholars. The community service that we have produced, like for me, I had 2 parallel streams. One is my academic scientific stream, the other one was my community and human service stream. So I'm lucky to be maintaining both of them and doing probably in a level that I would love to do in both areas. Now I'm very grateful to Dr. Mudin Ahmed, Professor Hanif Mia, my friend Ali Hadi, my friend Abdul Ghaffur from Malaysia, who also became an ISOSS president after Professor Ali Hadi, Ibrahim Muhammad from University of Malaya, Ayman Balkrizi, who organized the conference in Qatar, and Asif Saifuddin, who organized the conference in Indonesia. And of course, Muhammad Iftikhar. I cannot forget this man. He's the anchor person in ISOSS and Paester. Anything that you need, ask Iftikhar. Many people call him Professor Iftikhar. But he does more than professors professionally, and God bless him and his family. Iftikhar is always there to help when things get done, difficult things get done. I'm also very grateful to my parents and to my tributes. May God bless them, their souls. My wife, sometimes my wife calls me machine. The way I work, I'm very articulated. I'm a time frame maintained person. So I appreciate her patience. I know I have only 5 minutes left. So I also want to thank my children and grandchildren. We have 3 sons and 5 grandchildren. So we are very, very happy. We hope that they will serve the community and the humanity at large as well. And of course, my teacher, starting from primary to my university level, without their knowledge, support, and help and blessings, I won't be able to do anything that I have been able to do. And once again, I thank you for your time and patience. and I have to see you on another occasion, time for meeting, any opportunity arises. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you, and see you if you have any questions.